Hey everybody, welcome to CJ's Corner of the Lamplight. I am going to do a book review today. If you would like to follow along with my book reviews, go ahead and like and subscribe to the page. You can also go ahead and click the bell so you can be notified when I post one up. Today I am going to be reviewing the book, My Guantanamo Diary. This is from the author Mahvish Rukhsana Khan, and this is a nonfiction story, nonfiction book about her experiences visiting detainees in Guantanamo Bay. This author, her family immigrated, her parents immigrated to the United States, and she from Afghanistan, and she basically spent her kind of youth up until at least college kind of running away from her Afghan heritage, but as she kind of grows older, she learns to kind of appreciate her heritage, and she hears about the detainees in Guantanamo Bay and how a lot of them don't have any legal representation because there's not a lot of people, especially working habeas corpus cases, which is basically you're being held without charges. They don't have lawyers, etc., who speak Pashto. And because Mahvish is going into law school and becoming a lawyer and is fluent in Pashto, she is able to apply for access and go through the security checks, etc., to visit the prisoners, some of the prisoners in Guantanamo. And I do need to give a content warning for further. This does describe some abuses that happened in Guantanamo, and let's just talk a little bit about that. This sadly is along the lines of what happened in Iraq, in the prison in Iraq. You can kind of Google this, but there was a lot of abuse, including sexual assault of detainees by American soldiers. And unfortunately, Guantanamo Bay was no different. I'm just going to read just a little paragraph from here, and I want you to kind of really think about it. This is talking about the prisoners and how they're referred to. The scores of prisoners I met are largely invisible to the world outside the camp. They are nameless, faceless entities, cataloged and referred to by serial number as a way of dehumanizing them. A name makes a person, or even an animal, individual and unique. Serial numbers are for inanimate objects. I want you to really think about that. I want you to think about other situations in our world history where people have been referred to by numbers and what happened to those people. There were a lot of instances where a lot of these detainees were basically sold to the United States Army. There were people in Afghanistan who were offering prizes of, $5,000 and up to $25,000 for people who were supposedly tied to the Taliban. And when you have people in Afghanistan who make like 80 cents a day, it wouldn't be too difficult for these people to turn on somebody they didn't like, whether it was a neighbor or a coworker or anybody else, and say, yeah, this person is tied to the Taliban and this is what they've done, And that happened to a lot of the detainees in Guantanamo. They were held on baseless facts in their military files that had no proof attached to them. They were not given fair trials. Many of them still have not been given fair trials, and they can't be, because a lot of them have been basically so abused to the point that they couldn't be, receiving a fair trial. Some of the abuses that happened to them were absolutely atrocious. A lot of the detainees were sodomized. There were females, according to detainees in here, and there are documents that are showing this. There were female military members who, knowing that somebody of the Muslim faith, knowing how they feel religiously about women on their menstrual cycle, etc., they would religiously, they would torture these people in a religious way by basically raping them while they were on their periods. Raping the soldiers while they were on their periods and wiping their menstrual blood all over the detainees. And they would put the Qurans in basically buckets full of urine and just a lot of other atrocious, horrible things. And I really think that everybody ought to read this. And not just read this, but go and watch some documentaries and kind of Google the issues with Guantanamo Bay. It's just shocking and sadly unsurprising now that the more I'm learning about military tactics, all over the world. It's just so shocking that we allow ourselves to become animals, to dehumanize others, and to treat them so badly. And then us on the outside, civilians, a lot just don't care what happens in, detention centers in places like Guantanamo Bay, because we've been told that they're all terrorists, they're all horrible people. And most of them, or a good majority of them, were innocent. Were innocent people who there was no proof that they were tied to anything. Rukhsana, Mahvish, actually goes to Afghanistan so that she can collect evidence for a lot of these detainees regarding what the military said they did and when they did it. She went to Afghanistan to collect proof that they couldn't have done these things. And so she actually did meet with a prior Taliban member as well. And it's just interesting. I won't talk about that because I want you to read the book, but we need to do better as human beings to recognize the inherent worth of other human beings, and to realize that everybody deserves to be treated with as much respect as possible, because they might not actually be who we've been told they are. So go and read this book. It is really good. I think it opens eyes to a lot of things. Not every detainee in Guantanamo Bay was innocent. Of course not. There were members and, of Taliban and terrorists in there, absolutely. But a lot of them were sold out. And it's just really important that we recognize the stories and that we recognize that there are innocent people in Guantanamo Bay and in other places, not only in the United States, but around the world. And it's important that we do better as human beings and that we care what happens to people, and that we insist that our military not basically use Nazi tactics against detainees that are under the care of the United States. So go read this book, My Guantanamo Diary by Mahvish Rukhsana Khan. And yeah, let me know what you think. Bye-bye.